The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is said to be a landmark of the horror genre. Not only did it kick off the slasher subgenre, but it's also gotten known as one of the greatest horror films of all time, and that's not without merit. In this video essay, I'm going to be dissecting the key aspects that make it into the visual marvel it is. Long shots tend to be reserved for key moments. They vary, but can be reduced down to a couple of different categories. Take this shot for example. This is the first shot in the entire movie. We get a close-up that zooms slowly out into a long shot, allowing us to see the entire morbid sculpture. The soundtrack for this scene consists of an arrangement of pipe-like bangs, distorted camera sounds, and a radio news program describing a series of grave robbings that serve as the film's catalyst. It's a morbid and unique way of setting up the overall atmosphere and delivering basic exposition together in one shot, and it's pulled off fantastically.
The corpse had been removed. The head, or in some cases the extremities, removed. The remainder of the corpse left intact.
Another great long shot type comes from the first kill scenes. We have these low-angle tracking long shots of characters as they walk towards their deaths. I think the reasoning behind it was to mold a third-person perspective onto what's happening, creating a more immersive experience for the audience. Here's another. We have an emphasis on the lower grid. In this shot, the cinematographer takes the roll of thirds and splits it into fourths. It puts a spin on an old rule and creates a straight-to-the-point start of a scene that otherwise would have been slowed down had it been done multiple shots. The use of fourths doesn't reappear, but very similar shots that use thirds are used frequently during the first third of the film. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre doesn't have an aesthetic that would have worked as alone digital. It thrives off of the film grain look, which molds the vintage documentary feeling that the movie is so well known for. Another thing that creates that look is the sense of immersiveness, which I talked about a little before. It accurately captures the feeling of traveling across rural states. The color palette is primarily made up of really nice yellows and oranges. They give off a very warm, humid energy, like a summer's afternoon, and it goes nicely with the sandy look of the skulls and bones that are featured so prominently. The most shining example of editing is undoubtedly the dinner scene. In this scene, the sole survivor has been captured and gagged by the family of killers in preparation for dinner. Cuts are quick, but not too quick. There's a sense of intuition within the film that knows exactly when and where to cut. This is especially important for making scenes like this work. No shot is like the other. The scene is always changing with the character's constant movement. My favorite shot is this one of the survivor's eye. You can really see and feel the panic going through her. Every close-up creates a sense of anxiety and claustrophobia that invests its viewers in the events unfolding. It's boosted further by intercuts of the family as they mock her. It's hard to tell which drives the emotion of the scene more, the family's actions or the survivor's reactions. Either way, it's terrifying. Slasher films aren't what most people, film critics in particular, would call high art, but if this is anything to go by, there really is more to them than just gallons of fake blood.